has power down here, but our power comes from not because we have huge amounts of money to give to their PAC campaigns, not because we can buy a huge amount of advertising. Our power comes from you, because they know that the grassroots back home in their districts support something and will hold these members accountable.
Right.
So you are where the force, the strength of the pro-life movement. 2 years ago, I would not have predicted that I would introduce somebody that I want to introduce at this point to tell you her story, to help make the case why this bill is so important. Let me first say that over the past couple decades, we have passed substantial pro-life legislation in Texas. Just a couple of highlights. In 1999, we passed a law, the very imperfect law, the Parental Notification Act. For the first time since Roe versus Wade, Texas law required, now it does require, the doctor who's going to perform the abortion to notify one parent before performing invasive surgery on their minor daughter. We're talking about girls 17, 16, 15. The Department of State Health Services has a category, 12 and under, and they report abortions in that. Very big problem in the 90s. It's still a problem, but we got that law passed. Then Governor George W. Bush signed that into law, and the lieutenant governor was Rick Perry. People criticized it wasn't strong enough, but guess what? Immediately the next year, abortions took a drop. And now, 10 years later, abortions on minor girls have dropped 32% per year compared to the year before it was passed. Not only abortions, but pregnancies have dropped, and childbirth for minor girls has dropped in Texas. So overall, a wonderful public policy. Probably 1,500 fewer abortions performed every year. Over the last decade, that's 15,000 averted tragedies. I think that's huge, and that was all of us who were involved at the time who got that done. Another law, just real briefly, our Prenatal Protection Act. Did you know that Texas law recognizes the personhood of the unborn child, such that if a pregnant woman is assaulted or killed and the child dies, that's a crime of homicide or assault against the mother, and also a separate crime of homicide against the unborn child. Because in Texas law, the personhood of the unborn child begins in the womb and extends actually back to fertilization. That law has been upheld. The constitutionally has been upheld by Texas highest criminal court several times, 4 times, and we have men who are spending life in prison for killing unborn children in Texas. Now, it does not challenge Roe versus Wade. When the time comes, we will take that hill, but we have to time that right. So right now, it does not protect unborn children from abortion. But again, we have, I think you can see, we have laid the groundwork, the foothold for someday overturning Roe versus Wade. In 2003, we passed the Women's Right to Know Act, so that women were supposed to get information. They're not. The next speaker I want to tell you will tell us why they're not. And you have heard a lot about her, and she'll tell you this, but I never thought I'd be introducing the person who was the director of a Planned Parenthood abortion facility, was the employee of the year of the 4th largest Planned Parenthood affiliate in the United States. She was the Employee of the Year, and about, 15 months ago had a dramatic change of heart, and now has joined our ranks, and that person is Abby Johnson.
Thank you. I did not get the memo that you're supposed to wear red today, but I did have my red purse, so I will carry that around with me today. Can we please make it hot pink next year and take back hot pink to the pro-life movement? So I was reading let me just say, I lobbied for 8 years with Planned Parenthood. And so this is a really great day for me to be on this side of life and to be lobbying with you on the right side of life today. I I was looking last night at some articles online about the ultrasound bill and SB 16, and I was not surprised, but kind of laughed when I saw what some of the comments were. You know, the articles are posted and then people can write comments underneath, and I was not too surprised to see some of the comments that were written by pro-choicers. And some of the comments were totally off topic, and most of them said something like, you know, how about all of you pro-lifers start adopting kids? Well, I don't know about you, but my husband and I are in the process of adopting some kids from the state. And how many of you know pro-lifers or have yourself adopted kids? Yeah, that's right. Let me tell you how many pro-choicers I know that have adopted kids. Big fat zero. We are solving the problem. We are taking care of the problem on many, many levels. We are not just out there trying to nitpick and create more problems. We are solving these problems. And no matter what the situation is, for a woman, a child never deserves to be killed. I want to say something. Because I was there yesterday testifying, I don't want you guys, I don't want some of you to get in a tizzy about the rape and incest and life of the mother exception.
Easy for her to say.
It is important for us as pro-lifers to win some battles before we win the war.
That's right.
And by winning this battle, we are that much closer to winning that war. And so let's please keep that in mind. Rape and incest and life of the mother, it is such a small percentage. Like 1%. Let's stay on course and let's think about the thousands and thousands of babies that will be saved because of this measure. And let's not get in the little tizzy. And let's remember, this is probably one of the most important battles that we need to win. And because of the leadership of these very courageous, very, very courageous legislators that we have, they're sticking their necks out because they're doing the right thing. And because they're not scared to do the right thing. We will prevail and we will win this battle. You know, I was saying yesterday in my testimony a couple things. One, I was saying that I worked for Planned Parenthood for 8 years, and while I was there for 8 years, I got to see what it was like inside of an abortion room. And not just to see from a director's point of view, but also got to see from a consumer's point of view, because you see, I myself have had 2 abortions. And so I know, not just from watching women on the table, but also being a woman on that table. And I watched the doctors go into the rooms, and they would have this, it wasn't even a cap, it was kind of like this thing that covered their whole head. It went down all the way over their head, and they would have this mask that covered their whole face. And the only thing you would be, in their nose, and the only thing you would be able to see was just a little slit of their eyes. And the woman would already be sedated, and the ultrasound would have already been performed. And the physician would walk in, and he would sit down, and he would never introduce himself to the woman laying on the table. He would never even say a word to her, because you see, he didn't really want to have any conversation with her. He didn't want to have a personable exchange with her. That makes it a little too real. And so he would walk in to that exam room, and he would sit down on his stool, and he would encourage her to relax. And he would begin the procedure, and she would be in pain usually, and she would be groaning and crying, and he would never try to console her. He would never say a word to her. He would never pause during the procedure while she was crying out in pain. He doesn't care. He's trying to get in and out of that room as quickly as possible. And the procedure takes 5 minutes or less usually. And after he's done, he takes his bloody hand and he puts it on the ultrasound wand, and he does an ultrasound that takes about 30 seconds. He captures an image and throws his gloves on the floor and walks out of the room. No goodbye, no good job, nothing at all. And the nurses in the room are left to get the woman up and dry her tears and get her in the wheelchair and take her down to recovery. Does that doctor ever go down to recovery and check on his patients? No. Does he ever go over the instructions with her? This is how it's going to feel when you go home tomorrow or the next day or the next week. This is what your physical complications are going to be like. No. There is absolutely no contact between this woman's surgeon and his patient. How many of you have ever had surgery where you've never talked to your surgeon prior to surgery? Anybody? I had a mole removed one time, and I got more information from my doctor than when I had an abortion. We are not asking the abortion industry to do anything different than what we ask other doctors to do every single day. We are simply asking for a general standard of care. There are doctors in this room. Who's a doctor in here? You are. You got the coat on. You are. Yeah, there's another one over there. Is that how you treat your patients? Absolutely not. We are simply asking that the abortion industry doesn't get a pass. Why do they get a pass? Just because abortions are so common? Just because it's the most common surgical procedure in the country, they get a pass? They should be more heavily regulated. This is not right. And that is why we are here today. You know, it doesn't matter if a woman is pro-choice or she is pro-life, she should be for this bill. It should make women enraged that almost 4,000 women a day in this country are laying on those tables and they are not receiving informed consent before a doctor performs surgery on her. It should make women, whether they are pro-choice or pro-life, infuriated that women in this country are being treated as second-class citizens. It should make them infuriated that they are getting second-rate care. Does it make you infuriated? It makes me infuriated. Women deserve better than the care that they are getting, and they deserve better than abortion. And that is what we are here to say today. That is what we are going around and telling these legislators. That is what we are going around and telling these staffers. We are not just here to talk to the legislators. We are here to talk to anybody that will listen to us. Anyone. Anybody that can hear our voices, we will tell them why this is important. Amen? Amen. And I want to tell you today to get uncomfortable. Don't just go to the people that support us. Go to those that don't. Go. Do you think that when I was with Planned Parenthood, I only went to Watson? Do you think that I only went to Jessica Farrar? Do you think that I only went to Garnet Coleman? Do you think that I only went to the ones that supported our bills? Absolutely not. You know whose office I went to the most? Steve Ogden and Dan Patrick. I spent more time in their offices than any other legislator here. We need to be doing the same thing. We need to be going, and you know what? They didn't change. I did. Every heart can turn toward God. I'm a living testament of that. So please make yourself uncomfortable today. Even if they're not there, go in, sign their book, talk to their staffer, let them know that you were there, and let them know that you are here to protect the sanctity of human life and that every child is valuable. Thank you so much, and God bless you.